They're taught today that America's founding was nothing spectacular. It might even be immoral. It might even be unjust. Slavery and discrimination against women and all these things that kids today are taught about the founding of the country. So they don't think it's anything special. At least they're not taught that. But then when you do explain, take the time to explain what American exceptionalism is and try to explain the uniqueness, the greatness of this country, then the question invariably is asked, well, why hasn't it happened anywhere else? Why, for example, during Pol Pot's reign in Cambodia, didn't somebody rise up and say enough of this and establish freedom and a growing economy for the people that live there? Why didn't it happen in Vietnam? Why hasn't it happened in China? Why doesn't it happen in any number of places, anywhere? Why hasn't it happened anywhere but here? And it's such a great question because it hasn't happened anywhere else but here. There never has been a country like this. That's the point. There never has been a country founded in goodness, blessed by God, I happen to believe, that became a force for good the world over. It became a superpower within its own borders and furthermore stood for and defended liberty and freedom everywhere else in the world. Wherever disasters, the United States is the first country there to help clean up, pick up, restore. World War II, Marshall Plan, United States. United States has built the world, fed the world, clothed the world. How? But more important, why hasn't it happened anywhere else? And there really is an answer to it, and it's not that complicated. It may be hard to believe, but for young people, the answer is, well, there just hasn't been a George Washington in Cambodia yet. And there hasn't been a Thomas Jefferson in Zimbabwe. And there hasn't been a Benjamin Franklin in Burma. And there hasn't been a James Madison in Colombia. They were special people. They were special people alive, for the most part, at the same time. You talk about a confluence of events and people alive in the same place at the same moment in history. That is the simplest way to explain, particularly to young people, what is really special about this country. And the founding fathers are not just some people that happened to get mad a long time ago and want their freedom. They were special people in addition to what their natural yearnings were. There hasn't been anybody else write a constitution like Madison. There just hasn't been. Because that person hasn't existed anywhere but here. Now, the person may exist, but for whatever reason hasn't surfaced or been able to achieve. But regardless, for all practical purposes, there isn't another James Madison anywhere, or George Washington, or John Adams. Take your pick of any of the founders. They were here. It's what's so special about our founding and what is so special about our Constitution, and it is why so many Americans are beside themselves over what is happening now. It's being this. I said earlier in the program that there's a day in the not recent past of this country where whoever the president was would not deign to share a stage with the collection of human debris that's over in South Africa today. As Brian Williams said, you've got criminals, you've got thieves, you've got all kinds of reprobates. So you got the Star Wars bar scene over there. And not that long ago, the American president would have found a way to stand alone or with allies at a memorial such as this for Mandela, but would not have shared a stage and would not have legitimized those others. The handshake for Raul Castro, again, I'm telling you, the truth of that is, if you want to be offended by it, don't be. Obama would have bowed if he knew who Castro was. I think you got to understand Obama's mindset. When he arrives at this thing, you know that he's taking selfies. He's thinking to himself, what must these people think to be in my presence? He's not running on that stage. Oh, there's Raul Castro. I think I'll go shake his hand and I'll really irritate some people. Or there's Raul Castro. I really admire that. He doesn't think that way. He is on stage and it's all about him. And what happened was that Raul Castro shook his hand. Not the other way around. It's like Christiane Amanpour said in describing this scene, the memorial for Nelson Mandela, is the opening act for Barack Obama. Opening act for what? Not just the speech that he made. He's going to be there if you did not. The opening act for Obama to assume stately control over the world is what the opening act means. And people like Christiane Amanpour love this because she thinks it's a thumb in our eye. And I'll tell you, the American left is as motivated and inspired to offend and irritate and defeat us as they are by anything else. So seeing Obama universally loved and adored and accepted around the world, they just eat that up. And it will touch, flavor, and influence their reporting. So she'll call it the opening act for Obama, knowing full well, A, she really believes it, but she also is very much aware it's going to offend people back here. And that's cool, too. That's like icing on the cake. But I digress. There's a day not long ago where this today would not have happened. An American president would not deign to legitimize some of the bad actors that were among the so-called dignitaries at this memorial. But we live in a different era now where the left celebrates this country being chopped down to size. The left celebrates this country being criticized and thought of as nothing special, and in fact thought of as to blame for a lot of the world's problems. I mean, the president has apologized for our country numerous times. He clearly is of a mindset that the U.S. is guilty of things far more than it is deserving of praise for things.